When I first copped the Landcruiser bug, an experienced friend told me to be careful how far I dive into these old cars. He said, get too deep into their underbelly, and before you know it, you'll basically have a full-time job. I thought he was joking, so I laughed. But man, he most definitely was not joking. At the time, working on the Landcruiser platform was a hobby. My full-time job paired me with a suit and tie, 4 walls, and a desk, where my mind drifted and I daydreamed about what parts I needed to buy for my truck and the screws and bolts I needed to tinker on when I got home. I thought about Peter from that movie, The Office Space. He gets hypnotized into thinking he wasn't actually at work, but on a fishing charter. I could have played that part easy. Man, those days were hard. My body was in one place and my mind was somewhere else, turning a crank, stripping parts, and breathing fresh air. Friends told me constantly to face the music and go full-time working on cruisers. The idea always was seated in my mind, but it really never sprouted. Then the world did it for me. Literally. The entire world reconfigured their lives running from a pandemic for a year. And then that's when I got my chance to reach out and grab a wrench full-time. If not now, when, right? Now I have several offices throughout my day. Early morning coffee at my local coffee shop to get my daily timeline together, then responding to customers' parts orders, and most importantly, plan for all the future undertakings the fleet of cruisers will need. Then I arrive promptly at my day office and set my unfinished breakfast down on the rusted, coffee-stained FJ60 tailgate / workbench. I mean, my desk. Here, I make sure that all the parts orders are fulfilled for the day. The tailgate is lovely, but the head office is where the real work gets done. It's my favorite office, known as the Landcruiser engine bay. It's a place where I no longer tinker or daydream. It's serious work. The kind of work that sparks another cruiser back to life, trudging down the road once more under her own power. Let's see if this old 70s piggy is ready to run down the trough again. Cheers to another day at the office.
Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this week's episode, we're jumping right back on the 1973 FJ55 that we've been working on for the last couple weeks. In this episode, we're gonna go through some of those jobs that you don't normally see somebody do on one of these Landcruisers, especially one of the old ones. One of the biggest things that we're gonna be focusing on is putting in an aftermarket gas tank in this truck. We've actually sourced a 1968 Mustang tank, and we got it to fit in this old girl that's hiding in the back of the Landcruiser yard. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoy this episode, and if you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, like, and share these videos. We'll see you in the episode. Well, the fact that I even took this down the road with these tires is hysterical. These are going on right now. Not quite an upgrade, but they'll work. So that's what you had on. And this is what we're going to. A million times better. The little things sometimes. These are larger tires than what was on there, and they still have their white paint. Definitely makes it look a little better. So we're getting ready to switch this bumper on the FJ55. I had one laying around that was from another parts truck who went ahead and smoke torched the bolts so we can get it to get ready to get on there, because originally we just cut the frame so I could pull it off easily. So this is going to come off. We've gotten the other one already, so let's pull it in the shop and get those lovely carriage bolts out. Jeez. Look at that thing. Small improvement over what was on there, just putting in the freshly cleaned carriage bolts, but I think it's starting to make it look a little better. It's a new day here working on the FJ55. We were able to put a rear bumper on, which I think looks really great. I had to go source some parts from a good friend of mine, Glenn. I was able to pick up a few things for the interior. Glove box door, which does look a little dirty, and then there's a cross piece that connects the gauge cluster and this glove box, so that will go on and get cleaned up. Some trim rings for the rear tail lights. As you see, somebody had painted them for some crazy reason, so I had to take some steel wool and was able to get them to look kind of like that, so that needs a little bit more work. Then the crown jewel of everything was able to source a unbent front bumper. So this one is old, tired, and bent up, and maybe could be bent back into shape, but we're gonna get that one off, paint it the correct color, and then get it back on there. I'm trying to clean these up a little bit. These are from other parts trucks that Glenn and I had gone ahead and stripped, and some of these parts have sat outside under a cover or in a bin. So they did get a little bit dirty, but no fear, nothing that we can't clean up. So we're gonna go ahead and switch this out. I was able to clean it up. Probably needs a little bit more cleaning, but it will do for the purposes now. I do have a glove box door already, but as you can see, a common problem on these is that these bend. I guess the heat, especially this being a West Coast truck, it just takes it off and ruins that cushion. So we're gonna take that off. It shouldn't be too bad, and get this other one on. So again, we were able to clean up this dash piece that will connect the gauge cluster and the glove box. This piece does go right here. As you can see, it really will bring the whole entire dash together. So it's not too bad to install. It does have these little clips that go in the 3 holes here, as well as some bolts here, which I believe were originally screws, but I'm gonna go ahead and not put screws back in because I don't want that stuff stripping out if I ever need to take it out again. So let's get it all installed. Hey, it's not perfect, and they are used parts, but I think it really is starting to set this dash off. It's really bringing this truck an extra mile that it wasn't when I first got it. So little things like that, we are gonna continue to do to try to bring this truck back to life. So let's get to the next project, putting that front bumper on. To the untrained eye, this bumper looks somewhat decent. But the fact that it's not even bolted on, and I can move it kind of like that, it's kind of a sign that we needed another one. Let's get that changed out. So here's the bumper that's going on the FJ55. We put some poor man's paint shop on it. We also had to heat some of the stuff up to bend it all back in shape. This is the bottom part of the bumper. It looks like it must have caught something at some point. But the top of it, where it really counts, is very straight and nice. So let's go put it on the truck. I didn't see you guys there. Well, welcome to what we're doing today on the FJ55. I've already done a video on what we're doing, and that is the rear tailgate glass assembly, which we have to put in this truck because this one actually never came with one. And it looked like it might have been rear-ended, so it's gonna be a little bit of a battle to try to make sure that all goes up and down. I'm lubricating everything, but let me show you exactly what we're getting into. So with this tailgate, we're gonna have to put this mechanism down into here, and was going ahead and kind of greased these tracks that are in here because I mentioned before in previous videos that it looks like there's a roof actually put on this truck. So that stuff doesn't really line up, especially with it looking like it might have been rear-ended too. If you remember the old tailgate, it was all crunched in. So we're gonna try to put this mechanism in there, get it all hooked up over here on the fuse block, and see what happens, essentially. These rear tailgates can really be a bear sometimes. We just had a test light out here testing all this stuff. All these wires are a mess, as you can see. Just want to go through some 101 on this stuff. So these over here are for the actual switch that would use a key to open the rear tailgate. I don't have a key for this tailgate, so I'm gonna throw those out. I'm gonna forget about those for a minute. These coming over here are actually from the motor of the tailgate gear assembly. So those are all hooked up here and connected to the correct coloring on the actual switch on the dash. This is my ground. We tested this with a test light, and that does not have any power at all. Moving forward, this is our actual power that would be used as a constant if we were going to the switch, which you can see this guy is actually broken. So I'm not gonna connect that because there is some sparks on that one if we do that. So we directly grounded it there and tested on the switch, and it all works. So just a little tailgate 101 there on the 55. You can see we got it to move a little bit. Now I need to get this glass all installed and see if she goes up and down. There it goes. All right, all the way in? Yep. Dude, that thing slid out perfect. Nice. Nice, dude. Calling that a day. I'm out. This glass right here being up on the FJ55 is a enormous victory. There's nothing that gets my blood pressure going than trying to get one of these rear tailgates to work, and especially this glass. But it is working, not working 100% that great, but it is working, and I can actually access all the parts that are stuck here. Moving forward, we have something enormous that has kind of happened. And let me show you what that is real quick. That's a gas tank. It's not an FJ55 gas tank because they're basically like gold bars and impossible to find, and people apparently hold them near and dear to their heart in safes because they just don't exist. So instead we found a half-used Mustang gas tank that we're gonna modify and throw in this thing so we can actually maybe drive it more than 3 or 4 miles down the road and back and pray we make it. So that'll be the next project that we're going to be working on, but that glass is a huge victory. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, the speedometer does not work on this truck. That usually can be one thing specifically, and that is the speedo cable. So I've been dreaming up this scheme to use an FJ62 speedo cable to get the 55 to work. So I went ahead and disconnected one that I had, and I found that this area right here in the speedo cable, when I went to go take it out, had broken. So there's my culprit for why it's not working. So to give you a better picture of how that all hooks up, let me go show you on a transfer case and transmission that I have pulled already. So this is from an FJ62, so it may be a little different on your truck, but it looks like it all threaded in. So here on the transfer case, there will be a little bolt that you can loosen, 12 millimeter, and you put your speedo cable right in there, tighten it up, and then it runs all the way up to your gauge. So that's what we're doing right now, trying to get this in there. I have no idea if it's gonna fit. I hope it does. So we'll see. Gotta get the dash out. All right, I got her out. Oh yeah. So on the FJ55s, the speedo cable comes through the firewall, which I'll show you right here. It came through this grommet here and then loops down to the transfer case. On a 60 or 62, it actually comes down over here on the hump of the transmission hump. So just if you're looking for yours or trying to figure out how it comes through, that is how it works. This is the old speedo cable, and this is the 62 speedo cable. They are different, obviously, which I kind of knew when I started my research on them. I'm still learning this 55 platform. So I'm going to try to put this in there and see what happens. It looks like it should somewhat work. It looks like the actual part of the cable is the same. So we're going to put that in there and see what happens. Will it work? Wow, it actually got on there. Looks like it fits. Oh, look at that, it's working. Didn't want to drive the truck too far because it didn't have a lot of gas, so we'll get a better clip of it actually working, but it started to move, so that's huge. I'm super excited that I fixed that speedo cable because I couldn't figure out which one would work, but it's not the correct part, but sometimes with these old Toyotas, you can get certain things to work and interchange. But so that's really cool to know that a 62 or 60 speedo cable will work. On to the next thing that needs to be fixed. So today we're under the FJ55 and we're working with this old Mustang tank that we're going to try to adapt to the 55. So a couple things to note: that it is only 2 factory bolts on either side of the body that will need to be made bracketry to get this to go up. We're also going to have to weld in a little bit of a pipe here that will go to the factory filler neck, which is right there. We are also going to be closing up this, which would have been how you would have filled the Mustang tank originally. So we're going to get that all welded up, get a section welded on there, and then, you know, it looks like from this tank that it should be actually fairly easy to adapt from a gas going to the engine standpoint and descending unit, because all that stuff sits up here right there. So that's what our day consists of. Let's see if we can get it done. It's literally the worst day to try to work on any of the trucks in the yard. So we're gonna do the next best thing, and we're gonna run up the street because my modified Mustang tank for the 55 is ready and all welded up. So we're gonna go grab that, we're gonna jump in Nora and run up the street. About to pull in this old girl and mock up this Mustang tank on the rack. So there's the tank. Let's see if she can get on this truck. So after the mock-up, I have to get these broken bolts out so we can start mocking stuff up. Unfortunately, those are welded inside, so I'm gonna have to cut that and bend this tab down. These made it. As you can see, they're gonna look a little bit like that when we get in there. Got this all cut off. Just gotta bend those tabs down. So we got the tank all mocked up. I built some brackets so we could bolt it to the factory stuff on the body, just because if anybody ever buys this truck and wants to go back to a factory tank, they will have the ability to do so. So right now what we need to do is pull the tank out one more time. We're gonna drill the holes in the tank, which I've used the brackets to make some dots, and once that goes in, the tank will be secure, and all we need to do is do the filler neck and the gas line to the front of the motor, and she will be complete. So let's get to it. Oh, look at that old gas. So the Mustang tank is all installed. Looks like it should have been here from the factory. It looks amazing. Just got our fuel line. Look how great that loops right there. All the way to the line right there. Up here, factory. We just got to get this connected. This is the sending unit wire. And that will probably be super easy to do. We just got to fill it up with gas. We're ready to go. Truck's running incredible right now. Just got that tank installed. Look, the gas gauge is working. That's miraculous. That's for the Mustang sending unit as well. We got our new knob on there, so I know what gear we're going in. And guess what? The Speedo cable works too. So let's drive her off into the sunset. See how she does.